child can sit in a classroom for more than 50 minutes and not be seen, the building is already losing. Quietly, but losing. We don't need another initiative. We need adults who notice. Presence is not a program, it's a promise. And when that promise is kept, bullying cannot breathe. Fear, it can't linger, and kids start to believe again. If you want the statistics, the laws, the steps to advocate, I challenge you to go back and listen to the episode Bullying, Not on My Watch. And if you need the courage to do the hard thing, the hard things of being human, go back and listen to Be the Nail That Sticks Out and Running with the Bulls. But this episode is about what happens in between the data and the doing, between the initiative and the instinct. This one is about presence, the kind that changes the air in a room. I'm Misty Green, and you're listening to the I Lead Misty Blue podcast. In my prior role, in less than 2 years, I facilitated more than 200 MTSS meetings. Misty, what is MTSS? It's a system that supports students. It's a multi-tiered system of support. These meetings were held at the secondary level, and if you know anything about secondary, you know this is not the norm. I held these meetings not because I had to, but because I believe in the power of conversation over the comfort of compliance. Each meeting was small. The right adults, the student was present, and we're at a table where students and adults alike could speak freely, without judgment, and name what was needed. Those circles taught me more about students than any data dashboard ever could have. Behind every chart was a life. A teen memorizing their parents' chemo schedule, a newcomer brilliant in thought but silent in language, a foster child who learned silence as survival, an honor student carrying the bruise of sarcasm from a trusted adult. Because we chose investment over interrogation, students started to let me in. And that's what it's about. And let's be real, kids don't hand you their trust. You gotta earn it. Once they do, you're holding space for the real story. And that's where progress begins. My process is simple but intentional. Investment conversations. Center the student. Listen more than you speak. Follow up and monitoring. 24 hours, 72 hours, and weekly check-ins. Right data, right adults. Only those who can act and who are willing to be consistently invested. Progress monitoring that honors what numbers can't. Belonging, safety, and voice. That's presence on paper and in practice. When I enter a classroom, I never just stand at the back with a clipboard. I typically will walk up to a student if there's a vacant seat or desk, and I will ask, "Can I sit by you?" Then I listen. I'm not checking for posters or objectives that are posted. I'm listening for respect. I'm listening for reciprocity, for tone when a student risks an answer, for whether the air feels free or fearful. Is it full of sarcasm or is it inviting conversation? Are students' eyes anxious or are they open? Are they tracking? And does my presence make them breathe easier or hold their breath? See, once kids trust you, their faces tell you everything. Sometimes I lean in and ask, "What are you working on?" Other times, I just watch and I just listen. Did the teacher set the students up for success, or did the teacher create a weight forcing them to sink? See, that's presence, and it's anything but passive. Kids are not the problem. Adults set the climate where cruelty either grows or dies. When adults gossip, when they retaliate, or when they conspire, instead of confronting with integrity, They model the very behavior they claim to condemn. They become the bullies. One student once told me, "I don't want my teacher to know I'm being bullied. If she gets reprimanded, she'll tell all the other kids that I'm the one who told on the bully." See, he knew because he'd heard her do it before. That shattered me. Adults are supposed to be the safety net, not the source of fear. Presence starts with protecting trust. I've sat in district rooms where the conversation circled the end of year rating. Ratings matter, but not more than learning that sticks or safety that holds. And sometimes honesty in those rooms wasn't always welcomed. But you know what? I spoke it anyway. Because if our data doesn't measure belonging, we're reporting on a school our students don't actually even live in. Presence asks, what do these kids really need right now? Not what helps our school look better in June. We keep measuring the wrong things. We count raised hands, but not who felt brave enough to raise one. We even record attendance, but we don't record belonging. We log infractions, but not adult interactions that actually provoked them. I want you to ask yourself, who relaxes when you walk in and who stiffens? Who hasn't been greeted by name, not even once this week? Who is shrinking behind achievement? And who needs to be seen before they can be scored? If those questions sting, that's good, because that's the sound of growth beginning. Presence is steady consistency. It's active observation. And it's also emotional availability. When principals walk halls with eyes up, names known, when counselors are findable and approachable, and when teachers greet at the threshold and check in before they correct, we then build a campus immune to systems. A culture that sees quickly and acts quickly and doesn't let cruelty take root, because connection outspaces cruelty every single time. Here's the part we don't like to say out loud. Bullying doesn't survive because kids are cruel. It survives because adults get quiet, because someone hears it and thinks, I don't have time for this today. Because someone sees it and thinks, that's not my student in my alpha, not going to deal with it. Because someone documents it and hopes someone else will deal with it. And sometimes because addressing it would mean what? Paperwork, conflict, or discomfort. So it gets minimized, it gets reframed, it gets rationalized, and even at times normalized. He's just joking. They'll work it out. She's too sensitive, or they didn't really mean it that way. But research tells us, and kids already know, that when adults intervene early and consistently, bullying drops dramatically. The strongest predictor of whether bullying continues is not the students. It's the adult's response, not once, not twice, but consistently. When adults look the other way, kids learn something devastating. The harm is negotiable, that safety is conditional, and that silence is survival. And I've literally watched administrators walk past moments they should have stopped. Not because they were cruel, because they were tired. Because the system trained them to prioritize compliance and their checklist over courage. Not me. That was not the administrator I was. But we didn't sign up for this work to be comfortable. We signed up to be responsible, to be accountable, and to make a difference. And if you signed your contract for a paycheck and not the people, if you're more afraid of conflict than a child shrinking inside themselves, then I say this with care and clarity. This may not be your calling. Education is not crowd control. It is stewardship. And leadership doesn't mean staying clean. It means stepping into the mess so a child doesn't have to carry it alone. Parents, if your child is being bullied or simply feels unseen, you don't have to navigate it alone. Reach out, Ask questions, document, advocate. I'm here to help you. If you need a starting point, listen to Be the Nail That Sticks Out. Visit my website at ileadmb.com. There are resources there to help you navigate this system. If you want to understand the laws, the protections, and how to push back when systems fail, go back to listen to Bullying Not on My Watch. And if your gut says something isn't right with your child, trust it every single time. And remember, adults and teachers don't always get it right. Listen to your child's perspective. A culture that protects kids begins with adults who notice, who listen, and who follow through. Again, not once, not twice, but every single time. Refuse to gossip, who reject indifference and replace optics with honesty, with hard conversations. We got to keep the main thing, and that's the kids. Policies protect on paper. People protect in practice. And presence is the bridge between the two. Pull up a chair, the table is set, and stand in the gap. Choose every single day to be the adult who makes schools feel safe again.